And Nick has heard me say
Oh
this
my God,
1,000
for
times.
7 years.
1,000 times. And I'm going to say it again. And please do it. Keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket.
Good luck.
Keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket. Okay, and that takes discipline. So you've got to have a coordinated rush plan, and you've got to be able to maintain that discipline. And if you do, the great thing is Patrick's been sacked at a higher rate than he has his entire career. So if you keep him, well, for Philly, if you keep him in the pocket, you've got a chance to get a potentially a negative play with that. And when you look back at the last Super Bowl, what was the biggest issue on the last drive? The last drive to set up the 3 points to win the game, he has a 26-yard scramble, which eventually leads to the field goal. And look, broken plays from Mahomes are going to lead to big plays. Bro, if you let them out of the pocket, they're better than you at everything that they do than you are at matching their receivers. So please keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket. That's the second thing.
Two questions. One, is there anything you saw in the Commanders game, since Jaden is a more dangerous runner, I think, than Mahomes? You would agree with that. And does that mean not going for sacks?
No, it doesn't mean that at all. You've got to have lane discipline. A lot of times defensive ends will run past the quarterback, and that creates a lane. Or the defensive tackles, they'll try to run some kind of game inside, and then they're out of their rush lane. You've got two guys over on the right, nobody on the left, and there's a huge lane for Mahomes to vacate there. Or you go underneath the offensive tackle, and now Mahomes rolls out of the pocket. Kelsey's screaming across the field. He hits, it's a 20-yard completion.
Kelsey ambles more than screams these days, but he gets open.
The light scream across the field. But it's never a good thing when he's out of the pocket. And you have the upside this season of the amount of sacks that he's taken. So you have the chance for a big play if you have that discipline. But it's easier said than done, obviously, because I've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
And then the last.
Okay. Yeah. It is interesting. I mean, he didn't really answer that question in terms of like what he saw the Eagles do versus Jaden Daniels and whatnot. I don't think you can always just compare one quarterback to the other and be like, oh, well, they handled Jaden Daniels well. It's like the Chiefs are obviously a different team. Andy Reid's different than Cliff Kingsbury. They're going to have a different approach. At any part of the game, you need something different out of your quarterback. It's just different for many different reasons. And I think we often see teams struggle, no matter how great the defense is, kind of struggle with some of these mobile quarterbacks. If anything, maybe the better example would maybe to potentially, and again, not a perfect example because I do think Mahomes is, much better than Lamar Jackson, but you could see what the Eagles did against Lamar Jackson. The truth is that the Eagles do have a lot of practice and experience dealing with these mobile quarterbacks. But I think like even Baker Mayfield did pretty decent against the Eagles. I think even with his legs, I could be wrong with that. But so it's just like you can't just say, oh, well, they did great against Lamar and therefore they're going to do great against Mahomes. It just doesn't work like that. Or they did great against Jaden Daniels and now they're going to do great against Mahomes. Like that's just not the way I view it. Now, maybe if they got torched or something, and then you could be like, okay, this is clearly a problem. They don't have the discipline, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be fair, but I just don't think great automatically gets transferred over to another great performance because it's just different. And I think Mahomes is arguably the best at that kind of, song and dance of like, am I going to run? Am I going to throw? Am I going to run? Am I going to throw? And like my mentality, and this could be wrong. I could easily see a defensive head coach be like, or just a defensive coach in general be like, no. But for me, it's always kind of just like, who cares? If he throws the ball, he throws the ball. Don't try to get stuck in this little game. You just get after him. If you're caught in between, you just got to have faith that someone behind you is covering you, right? Like you have him. Don't do this let up and give him the run. Just get after him, and at the very least you're going to lay a hit on him or something. Like, I don't know if that's the solution either. But in my mind, I'm always like, why don't they just do that? Because every time they get caught in those in-betweeners, if anything, you get hurt more by letting up and then letting someone like Mahomes or Jaden or whoever just run more than that throw. Not to mention 9 out of 10 times when they do that fake throw, they're past the line of scrimmage anyway, and they can't even throw the ball. And it's just like, at that point, you got to have some awareness where you are within the field, which again, it's a lot easier said than done, of course, no doubt about it. So again, that's why this one of the biggest matchups for me really is, what does Fangio do against this offense? I think Fangio is in a little bit more difficult of a situation here because everyone's talking about what the Kansas City Chiefs did throughout the season, but this is not the same team that they were in week 3, 4, 5. They have Pacheco, they have Hollywood Brown, they have DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it's just a different team right now. And that's what I had been saying about this Kansas City Chiefs team throughout the season. I was like, I think that they will play better in the playoffs because it seems like they're going to get, even a little bit healthier will make a difference. If they do get Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins, now Xavier Worthy is playing a lot better than he was in week 7 or something. Like, it's just different. It's a different offense. So looking at tape and being like, well, let's see what the Ravens did against them. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's a different team. And plus Rashee Rice was playing, I think, by, at that time. So it's just, you just can't compare it. The one thing is that if you look against the Texans, because I would say that offense was a combination between being comfortable and uncomfortable for the Chiefs against the Texans. You could say, oh, it was rusty or whatnot. I don't buy into that because I just think Andy Reid, Mahomes, and company are too good for it to be rust. I just don't believe that. We praise someone like Andy coming off the bye, but then when they have like a little bit of rust, they're like, oh, well, it was a bye. And it's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. And then if you look at how they played against the Bills, I would say that 99% of the time that Chiefs offense was very comfortable. Now, did they do whatever they wanted? Not necessarily. It was a colder game a little bit, but not like a game where like you're really saying that it's impacting the game, and it was still a high scoring game. But we know that the Bills' defense is not good at all. And so there is kind of that mind. And again, I'm not saying that this is a great way to go about doing it, but sometimes you're just kind of backed into a corner a little bit. You're like, well, let's see how the Texans defense did against them, and let's see how the Bills defense did against them, and then kind of split the difference a bit. And you're like, well, and I believe that the Eagles defense is significantly better than those two teams' defenses, with also a defensive coach, in Fangio, who's been around significantly longer and more ready for this moment, quite frankly. So then you're kind of like, all right, well, shouldn't this Eagles defense be able to hold Patrick Mahomes to, and again, these are made up numbers, 28, 25, 24 points or less, shouldn't, if the Bills only gave up X amount of points and the Texans only gave up X amount of points, why would the Eagles, who have a better defense and a better, from my viewpoint, coordinator, defensive mind, why would they not be able to find a way to do that? And then the question is like, well, if they can, and if that ends up being true, well, then it's just up to the offense to just be like, just 28 points or so. And again, these are made up numbers on purpose, but it's just like it's hard for the mind not to go there, even if you can't really 100% go there. But like I said earlier, like sometimes it's just the best you kind of have in that moment. But I just think that it would be a little bit alarming if you're watching this game and you see the Chiefs offense very comfortable. Because I just think that the way the Eagles win this game is by slowing down the Chiefs offensively, which will be hard, but I just don't see this being like a back and forth shootout. And now the Eagles offense just has to rise to the occasion and win this, kind of like a similar game to how the Eagles won against Tom Brady and the Patriots. Like, I just think that a massive superpower for the Eagles is that defense and is generating, playing awesome defense without relying on just getting to the quarterback. That's actually what I highlighted on my NFL Live clip, where it was just like the Eagles defense has been awesome even when they're not generating pressure on the quarterback. Whereas in 22, so much of what made that defense special was getting that pressure, was getting those sacks. It was really kind of like, we just got to get after the quarterback, and when we do, victory. When we don't, we can kind of get bit a little bit. That's not what this defense is, and so a lot of it is predicated, on discipline. Getting the tackles, limiting yards after catch, etc., etc. So, yeah, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. It's going to be interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles, and kind of what their defensive game plan needs to be, and can they or will they be able to slow down Patrick Mahomes and limit some of the damage that can be done. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.